So here we have our two filler pieces, and we have a centerline mark which is going to come in handy as well, and I'm just going to follow that up all the way around just to give us an idea where the center is on all angles. I'm going to do that for both of them. Now that I've done that, I'm going to turn them over because of course it's better to remove the flesh side, which gives us more grain. Now these are tapering down from 6mm in the center down to about 3mm at the end. So we're going to do much the same. Now this is 2 layers of 3mm, so the easiest way to do this to get the same taper going down to half substance is to make a series of skives, and as soon as I start to break into the second layer at the end, I know to stop. So bringing it onto the edge of the paring stone here, I'm going to take a sharp skiving knife just past center, and I'm going to go for a very shallow skive to begin with. And we haven't broken through the first layer yet. Probably one more. And we've broken through. So you can see there the end of the grain layer on this first layer underneath here, and we've just gone through, and we're going to turn it around and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And now I'm going to look at it from this angle, making sure that we have a nice gradual taper. So taking a second, I can see I need to take a little bit more off this side. So just working that paring knife backwards and forwards, and we're good. So although this looks a bit weird like that, it's actually going to be grain side up, and it's going to be tapering around the handle like so. Now you might be wondering whether or not we're going to bevel the edges and shape it. Yes, we are, but the best time to do that is when it's actually stuck onto the handle, so it's holding still, and we can then bevel the edges and sand it and sculpt it to a nice shape. And now I'm going to do the same thing on this one. So we have our handle leather here, and the way we're going to stick the filler on, first of all, is we're going to turn it to the flesh side up. So the grain side is on the inside, the flesh side is the top side, and we're going to stick our top filler onto here. The reason is we're going to turn the handle inwards like so, so that the handle interfaces between the leather and the hardware, with the grain side meeting the hardware, which is the hardest wearing part of the leather. To make life a little bit easier, I'm going to mark a center line. Now we have our filler here, and I'm just going to place that on top. I'm just going to mark a little line here and here so that we know whereabouts to apply glue. I'm going to take an old blade. I'm just going to scuff up the area that I want to apply contact adhesive, and I'm going to choose a water-based contact adhesive, this being Ceragum, and I'll explain my use of water-based, or solvent-free rather. I don't apply too much outside of the scuffed area because it's going to make it a little bit challenging to sand the filler into shape if we have rubber everywhere. Okay, I'm going to leave that to dry. I'm going to take my filler. This is the grain side. The flesh side is where we're going to be sticking. So just a quick scuff with some coarse sandpaper. It just allows that adhesive to penetrate. And again, I'm going to leave that to dry as well. So we'll come back when that's touch dry. Okay, so I've positioned the main body of the handle flesh side up where I've scuffed and glued, and I've just put some pattern weights on the ends there. The idea is I want a bit of a gentle curve as I stick the filler over the top, and the main reason for that is you can stick it on a flat, but you'll eventually have to curve it, and the top filler is going to be stretched and the bottom filler is going to be compressed, and leather always lasts longer when it's not under stress. So I'm going to take the filler with my little mark on the top, and I'm very carefully just going to place that over the top. And then I'm just going to take a second to make sure I'm happy. It's coming up just a little bit more there, and just pressing that top part in there. Now I'm just going to work the end down very gingerly, very carefully, making sure that it stays in a central line. If you put it down gently first of all, if you absolutely have to lift it up to reposition, then you can do so without any negative impact. It might just be worth adding a little bit more adhesive, but other than that, no real problems. Alright, so the next thing is to sculpt it and give it a gentle curve. So taking our handle, we're going to press down so it's nice and flat. Of course it springs up. And I'm going to take a 1mm edge beveler. Okay, so anywhere between 0.8 and 1.2mm is about ideal. And I'm just going to go around the edge, and this is just going to increase comfort. And then change angles, taking off some of the surface there, just gradually rounding. And then the outside, remember to keep that beveler nice and sharp. And then taking a piece of sandpaper and going around the outside. And when you feel like you have a nice, smooth, yet slightly roughened exterior, that should be good enough. Any high spots or any corners that you can still feel, just take a second to nip those off. I'm just going to refresh that center line. Always like to have that in place. And that's our filler done. Simple as that. So we're going to take our piece of cover leather here. So this is going to go over the top and around the sides of the handle. This is our piece in English bridal leather in London tan, and it is 260mm by